is called Bungoma, the Land of Opportunity. And as you can see, I'm saying an entrepreneurship and investment guide to Bungoma district. I wrote this book when I was the chairman of Kenya Investment Authority, when we still had the policy of district focus for rural development. I had encouraged the Parastatal Kenya Investment Authority to create books for every district on investment, so that we give opportunities for would-be investors when there's a Meru district, Mombasa district. But I would say that policy has now been overtaken. I have another book here. This one is How to Find and Evaluate a Business Opportunity. And I'm saying, well, MUCMIC, I am director of MUCMIC Consultants. This book, used alongside the teaching in the classroom, can assist, orient students to see how they can identify opportunities and indeed go out and practice them. There is this book I've written, Learning Entrepreneurship Through Indigenous Knowledge. This is particularly for the parents. We have a lot of folk tales, we have a lot of stories, we have a lot of, indeed, every culture in this country, every culture worldwide, they have aspects of entrepreneurship. Now, I've written this so that people, when you go inside and you think like fairy tales, you can see, for example, reflection questions, a chapter, lessons that every. So this book is necessarily, we're saying we have, our culture has entrepreneurship in it, but we've not yet opened it up. This book is probably the first local textbook on entrepreneurship. I'm saying entrepreneurship theory and practice, a Kenyan perspective. Entrepreneurship is actually geographic oriented. What the opportunities that we have in the US may not be the opportunities in Kenya. The environment that we have in the US is not the environment in Kenya. So I wrote this book so that people can customize entrepreneurship to our local environment. I am glad that the government found it necessary to make this as a reference. I think they call it the yellow book of the government, but it has found its way into that yellow book. It's a reference to tertiary institutions that are teaching entrepreneurship. You can see this one, I'm talking about teaching entrepreneurship in Africa. I've traveled over Africa for a long time, and far and wide. We are teaching entrepreneurship like a theory. We are teaching entrepreneurship in the classroom. And when we teach entrepreneurship in the classroom, yes, our students pass entrepreneurship with first-class honors, but they cannot practice it. So I came up with this book to guide on how we can teach entrepreneurship in Africa. This one is one of my students. You can see we have written this with my student, Peter Karanja, my PhD student, Entrepreneurship Success Among Women Groups of Makuyu, Central Kenya. Women in this country, I would say, are more entrepreneurial in the rural areas than men. I am not sure I will get very many men groups in the rural areas, but women groups are abound. My research in banks, financial institutions, show that women who take loans, when women and men take loans, the defaulting rate among men is much higher than the defaulting rate among women. Women with their merry-go-rounds are already more financially oriented now. It is just a question of how we can convert that knowledge of the women into even more entrepreneurial aspects, and that's what we are covering there. In here, I have my own papers. This is a proceedings on leveraging indigenous products and technology. If you go to page 5, you'll find my work This page 5. I have a lead paper. You can see the role of indigenous entrepreneurship, industrialization, and poverty alleviation in developing nations. I did the case of Kenya. We have a lot of indigenous opportunities for industrialization. If you look at this one, this again, it is again my PhD student. Now she's also a doctor, Jane Wanjiku Kadenya. She's now called Dr. Jane Kadenya. We were talking about the total quality management factor in entrepreneurship growth. We are orienting, even when you talk of total quality management, we want to put in the entrepreneurship aspect. If you come here, you'll see, you go to page 35. This is an international conference. It's called in Dakar, way back in 1992, a new World Scientific and Technical. You go to page 35, and you get my article, African Industrialization, the university. In other words, we are putting again industrialization in Africa, science and technology. How can we again convert Africa into an industrial nation by injecting entrepreneurship into science and technology? If you come to this is now I think the cooperative wealth creation strategies for sub-Saharan African countries. If you go to page 76, you'll get my article again, Entrepreneurship, the institutional framework and the value-added agriculture, the case of Kenya's cotton and textile industry. We have a lot of opportunities in this cotton and textile industry. This is where, in fact, our youth should be leading to. But the policies to support this are still raw. You will come to this one. This is an edited piece in Strathmore University. I think my work must be on. Let me see. It should be Buisa. Yeah, here. My work is on page 219. When you go to page 219, you will find that I am arguing 219. I am arguing, should entrepreneurs advance the profit maximization objective? When we teach entrepreneurs and we talk of profit, economists will be talking about maximizing profit. Entrepreneurs will talk about the customer first. And when you please the customer, when you address the needs of the customer, profit will come by itself. But when we orient students through the economics prism, we may actually be disorientating them in terms of entrepreneurship. You can see here, this is the Minister of Cooperative Development. The Minister of Cooperative Development. We go to page 21. There was a leaders conference. Go to page 21, and you get sorry, I think, oh yeah, here you can get my Professor Buisa. During the past 2 decades, I'm talking about the journey from the past 2 decades going into 21st century. We have not yet stressed entrepreneurship as we would have to. This one is a training manual which I have done for the AU, African Union, particularly for agriculture. It is, if you come, it is my, where is it? Here it is. this is the writer's bibliography. I have done this for the African Union. You can see this is a map of, this is African Union. We need small business development and management for the health. We are an agricultural country. We have animal veterinary, and this sector should also be given the entrepreneurship orientation. So many of my works here are on entrepreneurship, and I think that if you focus on this one, you'll see that there was a time when this government came to power and they collapsed many ministries. They collapsed the Ministry of Cooperatives into industrialization, and I wrote this article complaining that the Ministry of Industrialization and Enterprise Development is a tautology of terms, because they had removed the cooperative movement, the cooperative ministry, made it like a mere department. I am glad that now, as we speak, this has been reversed. Now these ministries, trade, industry, and cooperative movement, because Africa and Kenya cannot ignore the cooperative movement. So when the government came to power, the current government came to power and removed the cooperative ministry from the scene, it was like, so all these I have are work that I've done on entrepreneurship, and I can tell you that the potential for entrepreneurship in this country is great. We only want, what we need is policy, a proper policy for entrepreneurship and commitment. I would say, for example, in this university, we teach entrepreneurship, but we are not entrepreneurial. We teach management, but we violate management rules. We must walk the talk. We are not walking the talk, and so to many other universities. We teach, we don't practice what we teach. That is our undoing.